Hi, this is Mike Distefano with Korn Ferry's Briefings for the Boardroom. Today, talking with Lieutenant General Retired Rhett Hernandez on the topic of cybersecurity and cyber preparedness. General, would you say that these threats today fall into some primary categories? I mean, obviously there's financial, there's infrastructure, but in terms of the way that you and the military and other sovereign nations are thinking about it, are there primary areas that cyber risk kind of currently occupies?
Sure. Certainly, the number of nation states with cyber capabilities continues to grow. I mean, there are top-level nation states at this that are very good, and if there's something that we can do, then we ought to assume that they could also do it. There's a growing number of cyber armies in many countries around the world, all looking to increase their capacity and capability for whatever objectives they might have in mind. There's a clear intent by certain countries to ensure that cyber is a part of every operation, and I believe that in the future, every part of any conflict we're involved in will have cyber as a component to it, either before or during the operation. There's also a huge cybercrime. In many ways, there's more money in cybercrime than some argue that there is in drugs. So it's pretty complicated cybercrime. There's this business of espionage, stealing other people's secrets. That doesn't necessarily just have to be from a military standpoint, but can be what is important to anyone in terms of intellectual property that would be worthy of keeping you from having to invest in the R&D and possibly steal those secrets that would give you the plans to things that would give you an advantage, whether that's in the public sector or the private sector. But certainly a wide range of growing threats to include activists for political purposes, attempting to achieve their objectives, to mercenaries being hired by others to help increase their capacity. The last one that I think concerns me more than it did a few years ago, and that's the growing nexus between cyber and terrorism.
What has given rise to this proliferation?
I think it's certainly we see it as a part of their recruiting, and we see the skill sets growing because they're not just recruiting from internal, but they're recruiting from other countries, which now allows you to bring a potentially higher skill set to the game that allows them to not just be concerned about how they protect their communications, but actively pursuing ways to disrupt our operations, and in some ways not military operations, but critical infrastructure that just starts to get at the basic fabric of the safety and security that we all take for granted in basic services. And a few years ago, that level of discussion did not exist, and today it's really materialized itself to an increased operational focus.
Scary stuff. Really scary.
5 years ago when I was Army Cyber, I went to the Counterterrorism Center at West Point and said, hey, tell me what the nexus is between cyber and terrorism. I said, what we're seeing so far is no nexus. Today we're reading about it in the papers.